Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Power of Choosing podcast.
Where today we're talking all about the impact of trust.
Yes, and I caught myself about to say, this is my favorite topic, which a lot of these are. But I think trust is one of those that when I say that word, I feel it in my body. Mm-hmm. I can relax. I can trust. I'm held. I'm safe. It's going to be okay. Is what I think of when I hear about trust. What about you?
For me, trust is, it is. It's like a nice breath of air that like releases, that comes out of me as I just trust and know that it will be all taken care of. And it really is a space where I operate from in the majority of my life. Not always the case, but currently is where I typically reside. So I do like trust. I like trust when I have more confidence in it. There are times where like it gets a little wobbly, but I do enjoy trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's being human, isn't it? Like
yes.
Some days we're like, yes, I trust everything. Everything's in flow and it's all going well. And then other days like, I'm having a moment and what's going on and who am I supposed to trust and why is it all going wrong? Mm-hmm. And
dig a little bit deeper for that trust.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cultivating a practice of trust that in the good times it's there, and then in the wobbles it's also can be found. A quote that used to be on our sixth form wall, which is like the bit after high school.
Okay. It was
like 2 years.
Thank you for clarifying.
And it said, when you find it hardest to pray, that's when you should pray the hardest. And it stuck with me 15, 20 years. Even if you're not a praying person, it can work with trust. When it's seeming like really hard to trust, that's when trust needs to be cultivated and found, and it's a sign that something's missing and needs to be like held on to again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The trust that we are talking about are being able to trust in yourself, and then also being able to trust that the universe has your back, and just knowing that things are working for you, not against you, and having that firm faith to be able to just trust. And sometimes it's really easy to do, and sometimes it takes a little bit more.
As you say, trust can look different ways. And the first big thing is trusting yourself. And what that can look like is you trust that you have an ability to do hard things. And I remember a friend telling me a story about this terrible time. She was about to get married and she found out that her fiance was cheating with one of their best friends. And he was like the nicest guy that you would never have guessed. And it was like this massive shock. She's so lovely and sweet. And it was all happening as he was like going to buy her the ring and proposing. So she went through this hard time. And then obviously it was awful and we were all with her supporting her. And then she came out the other side and she was talking about how her life had always just been easy and straightforward, and she'd had really nice boyfriends before that always like ended really amicably. And this was the first bit of adversity and hardness. And what it taught her was, I can do hard things. Like if you'd have told me that this is what I would have had to go through, I would have said, absolutely not. I would have fallen apart. And like, it was tough. And out of the other end, she's this stronger person who's working on herself, does loads of amazing things and shows up in ways that she didn't before. And it's this like, oh, I can do hard things. And if you've gone through something and you come out the other end, you're like, okay, yeah, it's been proven. But if you've never had anything like that happen, it can be this, well, obviously, if anything like this happened to me, I'd fall apart. Because we've got this view of like protection, and if I assume things like would be hard, then I'll keep myself safe or whatever it is, that we think that we're not as strong as we are. And we are really strong and we are really capable and we have all these amazing gifts that we forget about so easily and that we don't always show up.
That was really inspiring and really pulled something within me. Thinking about when I lost my mom, it was one of those things where I no longer had family left. And most of my peers didn't understand this. I was in a very different place than all of my peers. And I had to have trust. Like that was a hard thing. So I'm grieving and I had to trust that I knew everything I needed to have learned from my parents to be able to like essentially live life. That sounds really over the top, but that's really what it was in the sense of I had to trust in myself to be able to live. And it wasn't until I was forced with that. So, kind of like the person you're talking about, they were forced with something, and who they turned out to be was within that growth after the really hard thing and hurtful thing that had happened to them, to be able to then grow to this human that is showing up differently in the world. And so, there are things about being hit with challenges that we then have the opportunity to actually be able to show up differently and trust that we know how to, not always gracefully, but know how to be able to then apply it going forward. Because I'm sure she didn't have moments where she was completely graceful, and it's understandable. I know I didn't have moments where I was graceful past my parents' death, and that was also okay and understandable. So it is one of those things of like, there are hard things that happen, and I would love for me to have the knowledge and the wisdom I have currently without having to go through those hard things, but that's not the case. I went through it, and who I am today is because I went through those hard things. I'm sure she as well, going through it, she wouldn't have chosen it, but she also had the opportunity to grow from there. So that was an awesome inspiration. So thank you for sharing her point of view, because I'm sure so many people have had honestly shitty things like that happen to them.
Hmm. Yeah. And what we need is examples from ourselves of how we've got through things. So the shitty things stay with you. So they're a constant
Mhm.
reminder of, oh yeah, I can do this.
Mhm.
Whereas we're much like more prone to forget the good stuff we've done, where it's another example of like, oh, I got through this thing. I had a client, she was amazing and she was ready to take on the next step in her journey. And she wanted to move to London and start a new career. And she just was like, I can't do it. It's scary. I've not got the skills. I've not got everything I need to be able to do that. And we chatted for a bit, and all of a sudden, all these things that she'd done in her past came up. And I was buying into a story. I was like, oh, okay, but give me some little things that we could grow on that. And then she comes out with like, yeah, so I was in Africa project managing this whole thing and it was really successful and we raised all this money for charity and I was in charge of it all. I'm like, okay. So well, let's put that one on the list. And it kept happening. There was like all these amazing things that she's done. And I think most of us have things that we've done that we can pull out of the bag that's like, oh yeah, back in the day when I was this person, I did this and I was really scared of public speaking and I managed to stand up in front of the whole school and I did a monologue. Whatever it is, like we've all done stuff in our past that's hard. Whether
Mhm.
it's school, it's starting a new job, it's starting a new hobby, whatever it is, we're just much less likely to remember that. So then that
Mhm.
means it's like we start from scratch and we can't trust ourselves because we haven't got those examples. Whereas if we
Right.
start to build up the examples of, well, of course I can trust myself because I've done all of this stuff before.
Mhm. It's so easy to forget. I mean, honestly, me even sharing about my mom, I forgot about that till you were talking about what you were. I was like, oh, this is absolutely a moment where that has happened for me. So even me sharing with you, I totally forgot about huge things that happened to me. And so everyone has them. It is just looking for them because you got to where you are because you have gone through things. So
Hmm.
acknowledge it.
Yeah. And that is one of my favorite things about being a coach It's bringing out this ability for people to see how great they are and how
Mhm.
strong they are and how they've got so much to offer. Because when you
Mhm.
start bringing that out in people, they can just soar and do amazing things. And then that's just obviously amazing to see. So, yeah, trusting yourself because there's so much evidence why you can't.
Yeah.
And that it just opens your life up to so much possibility.
If you think about it, we both live in societies that are very capitalistic. So, meaning buy this, do this. It's a lot of selling to you, like,
Mhm.
especially for women. And I say this because I am one. It's like, do all of these things so that you can look younger, prettier, whatever the case might be. So, we get a lot of subliminal messages that tell us that we're not good enough because they want us to buy the next thing. So, of course, that trust in ourselves erodes away because we're constantly bombarded with don't trust yourself, essentially, because you could
Mhm.
be better. And it's always buy the next thing, do the next thing, versus what we're talking about here today, which is no, trust in yourself. Let's build that muscle. Let's get it stronger because you do have the trust within yourself.
Mm. Yeah, totally. Especially with motherhood. It's constantly like, do this thing, do that thing. What your child's not sleeping, your child's doing this, and this, and you're constantly made to feel like you're falling short. And
Mhm.
it's happening everywhere, as you say.
Yes.
And actually the opposite is true.
Mhm.
You're doing your best and you're showing up as you and you're uniquely you. So it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. And that's a really hard thing to be with and to like do because of all the but this is how you could be and this is how you could be. And actually, is all that even real?
Well, I'm just thinking of, I don't have children, but this is my understanding. Aren't there like a million books for like how you could do it and how you could do this and that, whichever the topic is when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
children? Yet none of it is like, listen to your intuition. Because before there were a gazillion books on how to do A, B, C, or D, there was no books and children became adults kind of situation. So it is one of those things where it's like we've been talked out of knowing what to do. And considering marketing that goes on, there's a 3-way step, there's a 10-way step, like how to do things. That's not okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So trust yourself
Trust yourself.
and then trust the universe.
Yes, that's where I was going as well. Yes, the universe is such a beautiful thing. So just for listeners, if universe doesn't fit for you, God is another one or source, whatever the case might be. I use universe because that's what works for me.
I use God because
You use
that's
God. Yeah. So know and replace it with whatever is right for you. And God, the universe really is working for you at all times. And so, really taking a look at having trust in that, it's a little bit scary because you want to try to control things. And giving that up and trusting is the opposite of that control.
hmm yeah. And I think the main thing for me with this like trusting is that it's working for you. The
Hmm.
world is working for you. The things that are in it are for you to enjoy. There are good people out there. There are people that want you to succeed. There are paths that you can take where you can have happiness, fulfillment, joy, whatever it is. And with that belief, that's what opens up for you. And there's a science to it. So when you trust, your nervous system relaxes. Like we were saying at the start, we say the word trust and you can relax, you can breathe. Things are going to
Hmm.
be okay. And then what that actually does is allow your creativity to come out, your problem solving increases. It has actual benefits to being in this space of trusting.
Hmm.
And then the opposite is true. When you mistrust everything, your brain goes into this tunnel vision, things are a threat, and you're seeing the threats because your body's in this like, we must protect ourselves, there's going to be danger, we can't look at anything else because we need to keep ourselves safe from danger. So then we're missing out on everything else that's going on. Trust is actually proven to help
Mhm.
you along on your way.
What I love about this in what you just said, it really goes back to the philosophy that I teach from. And so I teach with energy levels, and there's lower levels and there's higher levels. So that trust is in the higher levels, where that mistrust or that conflict or that uneasiness, or what I like to refer to as fear, is in those lower levels. And those two can't reside in the same space. And so being able to trust allows you to operate and be in an energy that gives more space for more possibilities. Working with a client, there's these things that happen with her significant other that she'll bring to the table. The, oh my goodness, he thinks this of me, he thinks that, and so forth. And I was like, I just want you to play with thinking the opposite, essentially, of what you think, and just see what happens when you play with that. And I'm intentional about playing with, because playing gets to be fun. Playing gets to be essentially easy because there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just play with. And so she said, inwardly, I felt a little bit like tension release. And that's the point of it. So going back to that trust of like, trust that your thoughts of like, in her situation with her spouse, that trust that they're not thinking what you think they're thinking. It gives it space to then go back to what you were speaking about, that creativity, that science aspect, gives it more possibility of what could be the case. So just, I love this scientific, because it is true, like energies reside differently. And so that trust really is like that breath, that's like relax, that, oh, it's just, it's a different energy, and it just resides differently in one's body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's easy to brand anyone that thinks in a way like, I just trust the universe or I trust God, as someone that's like a bit woo, a bit in the clouds. And
Yes.
actually to have a real, well, actually thinking like this has an effect in your body. Like it's real,
Yes.
it's tangible. It's backed by science, which
Mhm.
is helpful. And what's going on for me at the moment is my house move situation.
Mhm.
And it's been going on since May, which is a long time to have the uncertainty of not knowing when we'll move, or will anybody want to buy a house, or will we find the perfect house. When we started the journey, we were told that it'll be really easy. So we were sold this dream of course, your house will sell really quickly. So then we found one we loved, and we're like, right, this is all perfect. The universe is going to provide. And it just wasn't happening. People weren't interested in coming to our house, and we ended up losing this house that we loved, and it was all just feeling like stunted and not like it was working out. And I think at that point I could have gone into the doom of like, it's all just not working out, it's all terrible, and got really stressed. And instead I saw that as a sign it's not right. And I just had this peace around me. And it's probably the work that I've done on trust and the coaching I've had. But there was just this very much like, I'm going to trust that. Obviously, that house wasn't for us. There's a reason our house isn't selling. It's going to be okay. And no matter what part of me wanted to do and panic, and other people's input of like, oh, it's so stressful, isn't it? Like, oh no, you lost the house. Like, that's so sad. And like the part of me just wouldn't allow that to settle. And it just felt very like, not meant to be, not meant to be. And like now I'm at the other side of it. We've got an offer on our house. We found like an even beyond better dream house. And we're ready to exchange contracts. There has been stress along the way, but on top of it all, greater than it all, has been this, everything will work out. It's a God thing. It's all meant to be. And it's something that I haven't experienced before. And I really allowed it to come in. And it just, I think, changed the experience for me. And that can be applied to so many things in life, whether it's I'm in the wrong job, I need to change, or I'm surrounded by the wrong people and it seems scary. But what's on the other side of that? Finding my people, being truly happy, trusting that the life that you've dreamed of is out there.
Mm-hmm. The experience you got because you trusted. What we look for, we see.
One of my favorite sayings is when everything is going wrong and like people do bad things and inevitably things don't always go the way they should, look for the helpers. We had looters in London and people destroyed shops, took it as an opportunity to riot and steal things and made a mess of so many small businesses. And then the next day, so many more people came out with sweeping brushes. People they didn't know came to help. And that's what we can continue to do. Look for the helpers. Look for all the good in the world. Look for the people that are there to support and help you and others. Look for the reasons that we have to smile. Look for all the joy that is around us, because it is there, along with all the other stuff. But what we focus on is what we see more of.
I think that does tie back to the trust. And so really set an intention with everything in the sense of like what you look for, you'll find. I love that. What a great way to end this.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming to another episode of The Power of Choosing.
Today we're talking about the impact of trust.